this Sabbatean Frankist cult is using and exploiting an ancient belief in the messianic scenario. It's a messianic operation in its outward expression anyway, hence Messiah Zabbatai Zevi. And this legend, this belief, is that the Messiah will come and will rule the world out of Israel. Now, until this smart grid situation started to emerge, that seemed crazy. How can you rule the world out of Israel? It's madness. But now you start to realize that this smart grid is unfolding, that it is possible to control it from a central point with human brains and every technology imaginable connected to it. Suddenly you can start to see how it will be possible to centrally control the world from a central point. And this whole prophecy of rebuilding Solomon's temple on what is to Jewish and Christians believers Temple Mount, where the big mosque is now in Jerusalem. This is all connected to this prophecy, and so because Donald Trump is owned by Israel, i.e. Sabbatean Frankists, he has given them everything they've asked for since he became president. He's moved the embassy. It's all part of this movement towards this control center in Jerusalem. So you control them. That's exactly what this cult does with the Jewish population. It has to keep them in fear. I watched an absolutely tragic video, and it was by a Jewish guy, and he went and talked in Israel to young Jewish people who'd been through the education system and all that stuff. And I remember one clip of a girl, a Jewish girl, who said to him, we know the world hates us and we have to stick together. And that was tragic because the world doesn't hate them. This is, I mean, there'll be some, but the world, absolutely ridiculous. But this is how they're programmed from the earliest age to believe that they have to support and gather behind the leadership, brackets Sabbatean Frankist cult, in disguise, for protection. So wherever you look, as we talk today, we're actually seeing different expressions of exactly the same technique. And Jewish people are being scammed like crazy. And of course, this is the irony, and a Sabbatean Frankist cult couldn't care less. They take the consequences because people do equate what the Sabbatean Frankists do in the name hiding behind Israel and the Jewish community. They do equate that with the Jewish community. And so they get tarred with the same thing. And most of them are not involved at all. They've just got scammed into believing that these cultist leaders actually are genuinely Jewish and want the best for them.
Yeah, and the thing is, David, when the Nazis took power, it wasn't these big-time Sabbatean Frankist types that went to jail. It was regular people going to camps. So the very population that these people, that's what I'm saying. People forget, because Angelo, it's the Jews, man. You read this book, so I said, yeah, I get it. But they're programmed no different than I was programmed, or you were programmed, or other people throughout our entire lives. It's the us versus them tribalist mentality that they program and divide and conquer humanity. That's the only way they can do it. They have to say, and they have to become wolf in sheep's clothing, as you mentioned, and as you're theorizing, in order to do it. That's how they do it. So that's why I say I don't care who controls the world, what they're made of, what they exist in. They are doing the same exact thing. And I think that's the same message you're saying, is that ultimately it's a strategy used by a minority of people to manipulate and hide behind different groups of people and say, look, get that person and get this person. It's them, while they go laughing literally and to the bank with our money and our resources and everything else.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you put your average Jewish person in Israel away from all the crap, you put them round a table with some Palestinians and let them talk, and they would realize the enormous amount they have in common as against what they and they would see that what they perceive each other to be is not necessarily what they are. See, the Palestinians are, and organizations like Hamas, which there is considerable evidence was created with enormous help by Israel, and I would say Sabbatean Frankists. Organizations like Hamas are very, very important to Israel's leadership, because they are a focus to terrify the Israeli population. And just as the extreme version of Islam, created by the same Sabbatean Frankists via people like the Saudi royal family, are perfect to terrify the American population and the European population into giving power to their leaders and supporting wars, like you know as well as anybody, to say the least, of conquest and chaos, because you persuade them that these terrorists are going to come and basically, get them. The more terrorist attacks you can manipulate, the more situations you can manipulate to generate fear, the more you're going to get people supporting government action they wouldn't normally support, and doing things. I mean, how many people joined the American military who wouldn't otherwise as a result of 9/11, which was actually done by Sabbatean Frankists, not Arab hijackers? Right. So this same theme. This is how a tiny, by comparison to the global population, tiny group can manipulate the target population globally into psychologically responding the way that they are desired. And if we come back to coronavirus, I have no doubt whatsoever from my 30 years of full-time research into this, that this coronavirus situation, the Sabbatean Frankists will be behind it, operating out of different countries, America and wherever, where these networks operate. And just look at what they've achieved. In a matter of weeks, they have got the whole world responding as they want them to respond. So please don't let anyone be so naive as to say a few people can't control the world. Because look at your news tonight and you'll see that they are doing it.
And they do it by consent. And that's why I don't blame them all the time. That's why I don't say, these bad guys. It's in other words, I say the corruption that we see in the world is a reflection within ourselves, in a sense. Our ignorance, it could be our laziness, it could be our obsession with materialism or vanity. And these people manipulate that because they know that our darkest natures are what, mankind, our basest natures is what we're, driven by, that reptilian brain that doesn't think logically and in abstracts. It just wants more stuff. It wants more food. It wants more sex. That's what they deploy. The porno industry.
Well, this is the whole point. This is the whole point. You've hit on the whole point. I've spent 30 years exposing these people, but I don't hate them, because if I did, I become them. And also, you have to look at the responsibility of the population. People can only be manipulated if they allow themselves to be manipulated. They can only be controlled by a few if they choose to give their power away to the few. We can only be mass controlled by the acquiescence of those being mass controlled. This is the foundation of it. What I'm exposing is how it's done. and who's doing it, to what end. But I'm certainly not saying that we can hand the blame for the state of the world to this cult. Yes, it's fundamentally influenced that by the agenda and its manipulation and covert actions, yes. But the population must take responsibility for allowing itself to be pulled in and to behave and perceive the way that it does. And, you know, for years and years, well, decades now, I suppose, I've been talking about the fact that humans have out-sheeped the sheep. Because there was, back in the 1990s, I stood at the side of a field one day, and I saw this vast flock of sheep walking down the hill towards me. And in front of them was a shepherd with a stick, symbolic of this elite. And any sheep that started to get out of the pack, the sheepdog, I think there was more than one, was barking them into line, which is symbolic of fear. And I just watched and I thought, I'm watching the human race.
Yeah.
This is how it's done. These sheep were following the one in front. Why are you following the one in front? Well, I'm following the one in front of me. Oh, why are you buying all these toilet rolls? Well, because everyone else is buying them, right? Yep. It's the same thing. And so it occurred to me as I was standing there, what if these sheep just started going off in different directions? There's the power, there's the shepherd at the front, I'm in control. And there's the fear, row. What if those sheep started going off in different directions? Loads of them. Well, first of all, the guy with the stick is going to be standing there thinking, what the hell do I do? Well, there's nothing you can do. Too many of them gone off in too many directions. And the dogs start barking and the sheep don't fall to fear. So they're not going to make any difference now once you've let fear go. So suddenly you've gone from a situation of apparent control and acquiescence to a situation where those in control have no control over the what they formerly did control. And we have to start breaking out of the pack, expressing our uniqueness, letting go of fear, not only of what other people think, but of consequences for doing what is right. Because to contemplate not doing what is right is to contemplate the consequences of not doing what is right. So with the consequences comes the contemplation. I will contemplate on not doing what I know to be right to protect me and the consequences of that I perceive. And what does that do? Gives total control to the shepherd via the sheep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we need now to look this in the eye and realize that this ain't gonna be something that's gonna pass. Or the virus hysteria will pass and something else will come along. But this goal of total human control, and they're talking in the years for getting on for completion, 2030 or beyond, this ain't going away. Just going to go on. Now, we look it in the eye now, and we say we're not having it. En masse, those sheep going off in their different directions. Or we have to look our children and grandchildren in the eye in the realization that if we think it's bad now, what the hell is it going to be like for them?
Exactly. I say it all the time. I say to people, some of us are in a position like myself. I'm a disabled veteran. I get money from the government, disability pay, so I don't have to work. A lot of people are afraid to speak up because they will literally lose their job. Now they're censoring people who make money on YouTube from losing their job, essentially, because they live, there are people who make tons of money on YouTube. So unless you're independent, it's almost like you can't speak out. But as you said, if people aren't willing to lose their jobs for the future of their children's safety, how can they possibly think they're going to not look at their children and say, well, Grandpa didn't want to lose his job, so I didn't say anything. You know what I mean? And now look, you're enslaved even worse.
Yeah, what was it? I came across a quote by Winston Churchill, and the theme of it was this: of people basically feeding the dragon so that they would be the last people the dragon eats. That's the theme of the quote. So if you go on acquiescing to the dragon, it will come for you eventually, because that's the game. The idea is, if we stand together now and say we're not having it and stop cooperating with our own enslavement, then we can do something about it. If we don't, if we go on following the shepherd in fear of the sheepdog, then this is going to go into a situation very rapidly. My goodness, it's happening around us now. That would have made George Orwell wince beyond anything he even contemplated.
Okay, well, I got like two more questions for you, and then we'll get into like the upcoming documentary in your book, and then we'll get into the two super chats that I have here. So essentially, David, what do you think their end game looks like? And then also, what can we do about it? Because that's really the question people want to know. What the hell can we do about it? So go ahead and take the floor.
What we can do about it, I mean, it's multi-leveled, but it's all connected. And I've just written a book, just finished, which is going to go into production very soon. In fact, it's being proofread now, which the whole thrust of it is exactly answering that question. But in terms of what it looks like, I've talked earlier about the Hunger Games society, but let's just go on to another level of it, and that is the AI level. If you look at the quotes of Ray Kurzweil, a Google executive, and others in Silicon Valley, the devil's playground. First of all, it's the major corporations of Silicon Valley, your Facebooks and your Googles and your YouTubes. They're Sabbatean and Frankist controlled, and that's where all the censorship comes from via the ADL, etc. That's why they're all connected, so Kurzweil is talking about that by 2030, humanity will start having its brain connected to artificial intelligence. And you would then ask the question, why would they say that? Why would they tell us? Well, they're telling us for a very simple reason. You can only manipulate under the surface for so long. There comes a point, I said this years ago, that this point would have to come, where if you're going to transform society in the way you want, then society has to start transforming in the way that you want. And so therefore you can't hide below the radar anymore because people are seeing it. So you move then from hiding it to justifying it and to selling it. And so the sales pitch of Kurzweil for connecting the human brain to artificial intelligence is that it will make us superhuman, we will become gods. What he's not telling us, but I would be absolutely sure that he knows, is that we'll become subhuman. And he talks about the fact that once this AI connection is made, then, and these are summarizing his quotes, that AI will do more and more of human thinking until basically human thinking as we know it today is negligible, and AI will do it all. And then you've got this mega fraud called Elon Musk, who's putting all the satellites up, thousands of them, in his tens of thousands of them, in his arrogance, changing the nature of the night sky, to beam the Wi-Fi stroke 5G radiation field to every inch of the earth, which will allow this human AI connection to happen, and to connect the human mind to this smart grid, which is designed to be AI controlling everything from human perception right through to your car. This is what autonomous cars are all about. And these electric cars, again, it's another benefit of the climate cult and the climate change hoax, is that you move to electric cars. Electric cars are stepping stones to autonomous vehicles, which will be run electrically and wouldn't be able to operate with petrol engines. So instead of getting in your car and driving to where you want to go, you will only go where the computer allows you to go. And so lots of areas will not be able to be accessed by humans in their car, because the computer will not take them there. It's all control. So this is the world they want to create. And this is what the smart grid's all about. Now, one of the things I talk about in the trigger in some detail towards the end is how the center of this grid is moving more and more incessantly into Israel. They have this is Sabbatean Frankism again. They have a military operation, cyber operation at Beersheba in Israel, which is a military operation. If you go and criticize Israel online, the abuse you get back, a lot of it will come from Beersheba in a coordinated way, with people posing as members of the public. And around this Beersheba operation now are more and more of the research and development operations of the Silicon Valley giants, your Facebooks and your Googles and your Intels, etc., etc. And this Sabbatean Frankist cult is using and exploiting an ancient belief in the messianic scenario. It's a messianic operation in its outward expression anyway, hence Messiah Zabbatai Zevi. And this legend, this belief, is that the Messiah will come and will rule the world out of Israel. Now, until this smart grid situation started to emerge, that seemed crazy. How can you rule the world out of Israel? It's madness. But now you start to realize that this smart grid is unfolding, that it is possible to control it from a central point, with human brains and every technology imaginable connected to it. Suddenly you can start to see how it will be possible to centrally control the world from a central point. And this whole prophecy of rebuilding Solomon's temple on what is to Jewish and Christians believers Temple Mount, where the big mosque is now in Jerusalem. This is all connected to this prophecy, and so because Donald Trump is owned by Israel, i.e., Sabbatean Frankists, he has given them everything they've asked for since he became president. He's moved the embassy. It's all part of this movement towards this control center in Jerusalem. And he's also come up with this, or his son-in-law, an ultra Zionist, Yavid Kushner, has come up with this deal of the century, which does what? It hands all the aces to the Israeli government and complete control and ownership of Jerusalem. And you've got all these efforts now to depopulate Jerusalem in terms of Arab people from East Jerusalem, etc. And it's all part of this movement that I'm talking about. And it's not the Jews taking over the world. It's the Sabbatean Frankists hiding behind the Jewish belief system and the Jewish community. And the Jewish community need to get their backsides in gear fast, because the future is not meant to be any better for them than it is for the rest of us.
Yeah, and they would be one of the most effective people to get up, because then there's no way to attack them. I mean, they get attacked anyway. There's been plenty of Jewish people who get called self-hating Jews, who've come out and said things, about the New World Order and all this stuff, and that's what they do to them also. So that could even show you.
You know, it's a scam when Jewish people who criticize Israel get more abuse from this network than non-Jewish people, for a very simple reason, as you well know. They do try, bizarrely, to do it, but it's far more difficult to dub a Jewish person anti-Semitic than a non-Jewish person. So they are the Jewish people that speak out against Israel. Most of them won't realize it, but they're speaking out against the Sabbatean Frankist cult. Will get more stick and abuse from this defense system, what I call the anti-Semitism industry protection racket, than non-Jewish people. And that tells you everything you need to know about what this cult really thinks about Jewish people.
Yeah.
As David Icke said, these Jewish people, they have been had people. They have been tricked, manipulated into believing that they're the most special people on earth. And that's the craziest thing about all these religious groups. They all think like they're special. They're the special group on this earth, and everybody else will perish, burn, and suffer and live in torment forever. For what? For not believing in what they believed in. Why these people think they're so above every human on earth? Because of a belief. Because of a simple belief. You believe in something that's literally unprovable. You cannot prove what you believe in, for the most part, with all of these religions. But yet still, they think they're special. They think they're above. And it's so crazy, people. It's so fascinatingly crazy. And as we are in this delusional cycle, people, this whole Christmas celebration and this Christmas and Jesus died, Jesus born, and Easter coming up soon to March. So when will it stop? When will it stop, people? When will it stop? And we know because of, in my parts of the world, Jamaica, we know because of the hurricane, many people like they're opening their eyes to Christmas and say, oh, Christmas, what is real Christmas? Cause hey, we lose everything, and what we are gonna celebrate now and buy up this, spend up that, cook big pot, spend how much money, reaching other people when they care about we, companies when they even value us. What's this all about? This whole Christmas madness, people. So sometimes some drastical actions have to happen for people to take notice. But quicker we get to this point, people, that's we start getting rid of these things, not even question them now. It's getting rid of these religious beliefs, this believing in things, and believe that if people don't believe in what you believe in, they're condemned to sufferation, they're condemned to torture, they should be killed, there should be people. This is the heights of craziness we're living in. This is the heights. Crazy people. Crazy groups, including this group right now. We're discussing people, and they have control, they have so much power, and if we talk about the power, we hate them. We're anti this, anti that. It's so crazy. It's so stupidly crazy, people. But hey, at least we can see we're part of this, I would say, privileged group who can see through all these illusionous things that got so many minds in the loop, the deep hole of insanity, belief,